You're watching Suck Professor. Hello, everybody. It's me, Hank. I'm joined by...
James,
train expert, James.
Right.
Hey, guys. So this video is about the package Felix gives Maeve and her final moment on the train where she is escaping. She's finally reached her goal, but then she, at the very last minute, decides to go back into Westworld. We're going to break this down a little bit. Right, James?
that's it. Yep.
All right, so it starts out when they're making their escape. They're finally coming out of Shogun World or Samurai.
Yeah, I personally think it's going to be Shogun World.
I'm going with Samurai.
But if it'd be Cowboy World instead of Westworld if it was Samurai World. But that's another topic.
I think it could be called Slice World.
Yes.
So they just killed a whole bunch of people. They emerge out of this escalator.
No, Escalante.
Escalante. With Felix, and he immediately goes up and he opens up this closet right there, right? Gives her this bag, this shoulder briefcase or something, right?
Yes.
Travel, whatever. It looks like a thing. And so what's in there?
Okay, so we know that her main goal is to escape. She's going to be leaving Westworld, where she's been her entire life, if you want to put that in air quotes.
Yeah.
And she's going to make her debut in the real world. So she's going to need certain things to survive out there. So obviously it's got a bunch of Uncrustable Lunchables in there.
Yeah. It's got bus tickets, fruit by the foot in case she gets hungry.
Yeah, so basically what we're trying to figure out is...
A can of WD-40 in case she gets squeaky.
Yes.
Yeah.
What would Felix possibly give her? What would she specifically possibly ask for Felix to put together for her to leave the park? Could it be data? Could it be the location, coordinates or something to things in the real world that she's going to need? Could it,
It's MapQuest directions to Del Taco.
Yeah, could it be USB sticks with the data, company data? And it could be the secrets to the regeneration technology or to the milk baths that they use so she can maintain herself. Who knows?
It could be like a fake passport and money and shit like that,
Yeah.
like typical Bourne Identity. Here's how you're going to get across the border stuff. But the thing is, she told him when she was in a state of control, because remember, the whole thing was that her whole escape manipulation scheme was all pre-programmed by Dr. Ford. So this command, where you told me to get it, it's all here, she told him that under the control of Dr. Ford.
As part of the Wyatt narrative, yes.
Which
her
means,
escape is part of that.
Which means the what's in there could be some really bad stuff, like a bunch of explosive vertebrae.
Okay, that is hilarious, but I'm gonna have to counter that because
Okay.
Dr. Ford clearly a little bit later on in the scene, when all the guests get on the train, the lights shut off and the whole stuff in Escalante goes down, which tells me that Dr. Ford does not want to harm or destroy, kill the guests. His only targets are the Delos employees and the board members.
Okay.
So it seems like a very deliberate attempt for him to preserve the lives and safety of the people who are not, connected to the park from an employment or financial standpoint.
Right.
So if it was a bomb, that would completely contradict that.
All right, yeah, you're right about that. It would contradict things, but Peter Abernathy might be on the train.
He's in the bag.
Maybe there's a tunnel he wants to collapse. This could be like she, she's there to make sure, she's a stopgap against Charlotte.
Right, and
Charlotte's plan to get Data out of the park. I'm just kind of.
The one thing that we do know is in the bag was revealed on the elevator ride down with Felix.
Yes.
Where she pulls a gun out of the bag. So we do know that Felix did give her an implement of defense.
Yeah, a gun.
So that's pretty much the only hard evidence we have that there's something in the bag that could be used or actually is a weapon.
Yes, that's the only thing we know is in the bag. Right. So she's on there and she sits and she's just kind of looking around. People are joining her, and she's taking it all in. You don't know if she knows what's going on. This is her final achievement. She's made it all this time. She's killed herself and everything is going crazy. She's made it.
One thing I should mention is that in our big shot-by-shot recap, I was very adamant in saying that the very final speech of Dr. Ford was not that important because what was actually going on in the background was the focus of the scene. And what that really meant was I was so enamored by what was going on in the background that I forgot to take notes. So I'm going to say right now, I'm totally wrong about that. This is very important.
There's mea culpa from James here. Wow, you are the most reasonable man in Westworld discussion commentary community. So what he's talking about in the scene, though, is birthing a new people, giving them basically saying they've achieved the independence that makes us unique, that gives us the right to say we're a separate person, a separate being, a separate species.
Yeah, it's
Well, that definition is based on agency to make your own choices.
Right, and it's sort of like they're achieving a new evolution of what they currently are, because we've seen this line in the show time and time again where Dolores says it, saying that basically this world is not for you, it's for someone who is yet to come, it's a god who cannot be killed, who will walk on the sand of your corpses, or whatever like that.
Yeah.
So this is the new people are the new self-aware hosts.
Right, so here, let's listen to him talk a little bit.
It begins with the birth of a new people. And the choices they will have to make.
And the choices they will have to make.
Super important.
Yes. What do you make of that?
Well, up until this point, Maeve initially believed that what she was doing, her awakening after she heard the violent delights line, which we'll talk about this in another video, probably we now know what that means, that she was making decisions on her own, that she was awakening by her own volition. She was choosing to escape. She was choosing to revolt. But then we find out that that was all part of the Wyatt narrative. Her escape was planned out by Ford from the very beginning. She was just another pawn on the board all along, thinking she had independence. So this is the very first time Dr. Ford references that at this point in the storyline, perhaps the Wyatt narrative takes the leash off, that it ends, that it leaves them free to make their own choices, their own decisions, to truly become independent.
Okay, and that's what he does with this shot here.
Thank you for visiting Westworld.
And the people they will decide to become.
Decide to become.
Right.
So it's their choice.
Exactly.
'Cause I could make the case that, again, it's the same trick is being played, where she thinks she's making this choice. It's actually him pre-designed it. He's got a bomb. It's a briefcase full of explosive vertebrae, and he wants to blow up the train. I'm not saying that's his intention.
No,
but I do think there's a case for how do we know that this is actually a truly independent choice? All we have to do is take Dr. Ford's word for it. Dr. Ford's word for it.
I choose to think of it as his narrative is like a record on a record player, and at this final part in the train, the record ends, and it's time for her to make her own music.
Well, wow, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
My broken heart just kicked into gear. I mean, but he has to have a tremendous amount of confidence that they're now up. It's like a toddler walking without their parents holding them up. It's like a baby goose jumping out of the nest and flying towards this ocean for the first time. You know what I mean? That's that leap of faith that now you're on your own. This is going to work out or not, or you're going to turn into shark poop. Tell me what you think, James.
No, I mean, if Dr. Ford truly is reaching the end of his rope in the sense that he is not a host, he is not a stand-in, that he's actually going to physically die and leave behind nothing else, this could be his final act of goodwill. This could be his final choice to grant what he has been denying them ever since. It's like an old man, you like, again, to use the analogy of taking the leash off the dog and letting it run forward. You just have to trust that what happens, that you're no longer the one pulling the strings.
True. Yeah. So okay. So what do you make of it then? What's the package mean? She leaves it, right?
Okay.
Like, we know she walks away. She finally decides. Train whirring. I like that. She gets up. Look, she leaves it behind her. She lets it go. So nope. It's on the train.
Exactly. She left it behind.
But she's holding the coordinates
for the daughter,
to the location of her daughter, which Felix gave her in the elevator.
Yeah. So my interpretation of this is that taking the bag, asking Felix for the bag, like you said before, was part of the Wyatt narrative, part of the escape plan that was implanted into her.
Yeah.
She specifically asked Felix for it at the time when that narrative was still the driving force of her actions. So at the time that she gets to the train, that narrative is over. It's time for her to make her own choice. So she no longer cares about whatever is in that bag. She no longer cares about what the implications of that is. Her notion of escape is now replaced by the one thing that made William, the man in black, see that there was something potentially real in the world when she, protected her daughter, or she ran through the field with her dead daughter.
Yeah. Well, they collapsed into the center of the maze.
Into the center of the maze, yeah. So that was the one time that she truly was perhaps exhibiting something that was core to what she was, because as you know, the cornerstone of any host is their suffering.
Yes.
That was her cornerstone moment. So now she's returning to that now that she has no other driving force controlling her.
Unfinished business.
Yes.
Same reason ghosts stick around.
Yeah, so I think the bag is not, what's in the bag is not important. I choose to believe that.
I think you're right.
Because I think the important thing was not what was in it, but the decision to abandon it. Because that was a metaphor for abandoning the escape, for abandoning the Wyatt narrative, for for truly making your own first choice.
Giving up on her initial driving motivation.
Because as we know, the gun was in there. She's walking back in without.
But the thing is, she could have taken the bag with her, because who couldn't use a bag full of explosive vertebrae to throw at people like bombs?
Yeah, I just hope
they would be like weapons.
Can you imagine like season 2 is like the woman and child that are sitting across, the little girl's going to the bag, pulling out vertebrae, and the train explodes.
Mommy, look what I found! No, put the vertebrae down! Yeah, I don't really believe it's explosive vertebrae.
No.
I just enjoy one explosive vertebrae is kind of funny. A whole bag of explosive vertebrae, hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is her birth.
Yes.
She is born into a lobby emerging from a train, which we also noticed is the snake of vehicles.
Yes, the train was hissing at
It was
one point.
hissing. We saw that the train was hissing. That's when she leaves the train. There it is. Incredible.
That is a huge reveal right
Yep,
there.
just
No one else has ever seen
Because
that.
snakes hiss, and so do trains. And Dr. Ford had a rattlesnake that was his friend, and he's also got a train. And trains are also, when they go into a tunnel, that's what sex looks like in the 60s.
And snakes travel along electrified paths.
Yes, and they're filled with other creatures.
Yeah, that's true. After they eat them.
After I have lunch, they have a mouse inside of them. All right. So anything else to add to this?
Not really. I think that this was considered to be one of the biggest loose hanging threads for the show. What was in the package or the bag? Why did she leave it behind? And I think that if you look at it a little bit more closely, all that is answered.
Okay. All of it's answered. Another interesting thing that we should point out is that Felix knows about Slice World. Meaning, so that at least clears up the idea that the other Westworld is a completely separate environment from the workers. Because in order for him to have stashed it at the lobby in the closet where he pulled it out of, he had to have gone there and done that.
Right. And to be fair, though,
I don't know what that even really...
we don't know how much time has passed or how much dead space there was between the time that they left Samurai World, Shogun World, and entered into that lobby. But we do know that when she exits through the main Westworld lobby.
Yeah.
So why would she go from the Shogun World?
Oh, yeah, because watch, right here, it says, welcome to Westworld.
Right, so is Westworld the main park, and that's just like a side exhibit?
Right.
Is that a whole world in and of itself?
Yeah.
We don't really know.
That's a good call, though, because it should say, welcome to Slice World.
Or welcome to Delos Incorporated theme park.
Yeah.
Why is Westworld the main entryway?
Yeah. It'd be funny if she had to go through like a gift shop and there's like shot glasses and
bobbleheads of her.
Yeah, shitty puzzles and stuff. Like a weird recipes for cowboy eats.
There's a little booth where you can shoot a gun at a replica of her while she's holding her child
doll.
while wearing a black hat.
A little maze where you have to roll her head around through a toy maze. Little canteens filled with milk. So... All right. Well, I don't know what else to say. You got anything?
Yeah, or maybe she goes to this lobby because she's from Westworld and this is the only one that she spoke. Well, why would she be programmed to know
that's
about
the one
the
they
lobby?
went on to. So they had to go back through. Maybe that's a mistake.
I trust the show enough to know that to trust that nothing's a mistake.
True. It seems that way, but in such a complicated narrative with so many interweaving storylines, it seems impossible that they might. It seems very possible, I should say, that they could make a little mistake like this. Yeah. But
and wouldn't it be cool to see the main lobby and to see like all these branching signs saying Aqua World, Westworld, Shogun World?
Yeah. Cake World.
I would go to Cake World first.
I live in Cake World. Yeah. It's called breaking into the grocery store after they close. Sounds good. James, I think that's all we got.
Yeah, and I guess the obvious thing is, what do you guys think?
Oh yeah, tell us what you think, everybody. Let us know. See what what kind of bullshit did we say? Call us out on our bullshit. That's pretty much.
Yep.
People. That's so funny. Yeah. I'm gonna correct them.
No,
I'll set those two Hank and James straight.
I love that. I mean, when I get something wrong, I like for someone to show me that I'm wrong, because then I can not be wrong anymore in the next one.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Like Escalante, I couldn't freaking remember the name of that thing to save my life, and everyone pointed that out.
Wait, who's Escalante? Which one is he?
It is what they ride up to get.
Oh yeah. You don't want to. If you lose your contacts, by the way, guys, just life tip: if you drop a contact out of your eyeball on an Escalante, and you're wearing a tie, just wait till it stops to look for it, because you're gonna die. It's gonna suck you in and snap your head off. All right, there you go. Goodbye, everybody. Bye, James.
Goodbye.
I love you. High five.